Hello, so I am releasing this before the song comes out, but Commercialist Dream is coming out November 5th, I believe, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what it's about. If I actually got to pull up the lyrics because I don't remember them off the top of my head. That's how much crap I've been doing lately. But a lot of times with my songs, I take a lot of inspiration from another song, and then I kind of make it my own. Not copy and paste and shit, but like I'll listen to one thing and be like, oh, that's a cool idea. What if I did it with this? So, as I think most artists do in any field. So, the song I believe that inspired this was Silent Planet's Anhedonia. Amazing song. Friggin' loved it. But Commercialist Dream is my first attempt at a live one take. Hopefully people like it. I was a fan of it myself. Right now, at least. I'll probably in like 2 years be like, God, I hate that thing. But, so I wanted to write a protest song. There wasn't, admittedly, I know I critique other people for this. There wasn't one major talking point. It was just kind of calling out a whole bunch of people while also making this angry protest song. Really hard song to perform. It took me like a whole day to actually figure out how I want to perform the song. So one thing I do want to talk about actually is with these new songs coming under the Andy Galupa title, all of them are being done in one take, except for maybe one project that I'm debating whether I'm going to do it like that. But basically, I'm making the instrumental, writing the music, and usually while I'm doing the instrumental, I'm adding the vocals. Instead, I'm doing the entire instrumental, and then doing the vocals in one take. So this was the first song to do that, which I'm actually very proud of how it turned out. I think some of the vocals are the best. But I wanted to talk about some of the lyrics, but one of the major points I talk about is the idea of freedom of speech, actually. I always found freedom of speech to be this ironic thing everyone talks about, because everyone's like, oh, you gotta use your freedom of speech to speak up. And then those are the same fucking people who are like, oh, you shouldn't be able to say this. You shouldn't be able, like, which is it? Do we say what's on our mind? Or do we just pick and choose what people should say? Which also seems to be how we're going in the art direction. Instead of just saying what we want to say, we just kind of pick and choose what we say. Because, oh, this might offend people. Instead of just making the art we want to see in the world. Which is another issue on itself that I could write 10 songs about. But that was one of the major inspirations. And I kind of started that off by saying, tried and tried to keep us numb. How much blood has to spill till you stop biting your fucking tongue? So I feel like this one's pretty direct. I feel like I don't gotta explain it, but I'm going to anyways because I don't know why. But I watch a lot of these No King protests, which I actually did sample one for this song. But I watch a lot of them, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're rioting!" Like, when were we not supposed to protest? Either side, if you look at the left or the right, like, either side protests. And then the other one's like, oh, the other shouldn't be allowed to protest. Well, which is it? I'm not a centrist. I stand very much on the left. I am not afraid to say I am a I'm a communist. There we go. But I don't get why both sides are like, oh, the other one shouldn't talk. Like, how are we supposed to have conversations? We can't really solve anything because every time I see one of these sides talking where they're like, oh, we believe in the freedom of speech, then they're like, oh, well, the other side can't say that. Well, I mean, if we never have the uncomfortable conversation, where do we go? So one thing I'm really fed up with, and I talk to so many people who are like this with many things, they'll be like, oh, that's just the way it is. Okay, so let's factor that in as an argument, which is one of the reasons I wrote this line. First of all, you're biting your tongue. So, if anyone's heard the saying, you can't be neutral on a moving train, this is literally the case of it. You cannot be neutral on a moving train. So, the whole idea of, oh, this is just the way it is, even if we take that as truth, let's say, does that make it any less wrong? Are you just as guilty for biting your tongue when you don't actually stand up for the things that you know are wrong? Like, everyone talks about how, oh, this is just how corporations are, but, like, no one's trying to do anything about it. We're just gonna be like, that's the way it is and accept it. Like, that doesn't seem, regardless of my opinions on it, if we even talk about patriotism, that's not what America was founded on, too. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the founding fathers, but even they were like, yeah, we can't really let this be the way it is, one of the greatest changes in any society on the world is, whether for best or for worse, is challenging the idea of it's just the way it is. Why is that? Why are you biting your tongue? If you don't say what's on your mind, how do you expect to be heard? But that's an entire cycle that we could talk about for a while. Paradise was lost to the bred ignorance, a melting pool of poison and disease, and while you're distracted, they coronate the dictator. So, we kind of, going back on that biting the tongue, another factor of that is that we have like this ignorance, like, oh, someone else will do it. Like, the very idea of democracy, if we look at it from what it was supposed to be, even in Greece, which I still have critiques of how Greece did it, they weren't exactly equal, but the idea is that everybody gets a voice. If you choose not to use your voice, doesn't that defeat the purpose of democracy? If you let someone else make all your decisions, that's you don't have any freedom of speech. The other person's making decisions for you. So paradise was lost to the bred ignorance. We kind of look at America like back then, a while ago, which it still wasn't paradise, I acknowledge that. I'm the first one to tell people that. But, this idea of, oh, this is just the way it'll be. Oh, nothing will ever change. It's like bred ignorance. Like, not only do people say it, but then they teach other people this. And it's like, what? Like, you think if everyone believes that this is the way it's going to be, you think we're going to have a next Martin Luther? Or, fucking, what's her name? The Swedish girl who... I am being so disrespectful not remembering her name right now. But the girl who talks about environmentalism, like, if everyone just had this idea of this is the way it would be, nothing would ever change. There wouldn't even be any advancements because, oh, this is just the way it is. Like, that's just dumb. It really is. And we kind of have this culture of, like, negativity and toxicity where it's like, we kind of hate each other and hate this and hate that. Like, when did we forget that we're human beings? We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do horrible fucking things at points, but the severity of them we get to decide as a society. But this idea of poison and disease is kind of like we spread this negativity, but it never actually changes anything. You can write a fucking 10-paragraph bitch list on Twitter. I don't know how else to put it. But you don't change anything. You just put it out there. Now, whether people agree with you or stuff, you might motivate them, but, people don't want to get in the streets and do anything. But even then, I don't believe that either. You see these No King protests, and thousands of people show up, but, you need action. Like, if you want something to change, you gotta understand that you're the first person that can make that change. You gotta take the steps. Alexa's not gonna do it for you. And also, while everyone was distracted talking about, like, trans issues and all these issues, we just kind of forgot that Trump was coronated, which I refuse to believe it was an election. It was coronation. But, so, while we're all debating about these social issues, how important is trans issues or poverty or literally any of these issues if we have a person who literally said, I just want to be dictator for the day, as president? Like, none of these issues matter if you have someone who's just gonna do what they want anyways, which is not a democracy in the first place, but we'll just leave that there. How many more must hang till you acknowledge the valley of death, a white house of false idols? So, another thing too with this metaphor is that so many people die from all these causes. We look at drug addiction, we look at poverty, we even look at transgender issues, whether you feel, which way you feel about it, all this hatred that's leading to these suicides. We just kind of don't acknowledge it. We just kind of argue, but we never actually acknowledge the elephant in the room. So we don't acknowledge the valley of death. It's like we all gather for the public execution, but nobody bothers to say anything. We just kind of let it happen, and it's like, okay, you're just as fucking guilty. And then we have a White House of everyone has these political saviors, like, oh, I believe in Trump. Oh, I believe in Biden. Oh, I believe. But the thing is that they're all false idols. They've all got blood on their hands. That's the thing I don't feel like people realize. There are some people who have denounced the idea of political parties, like Democrats and Republicans. Personally, I used to lean more Democrat, but I don't like either party. Both of them are kind of... I mean, I would agree that Democrats is probably better if I had to choose one, But both of them are shitty parties, and I don't like the people in them. Just gonna say it bluntly, you know? And then we have the main chorus of the song. Lost inside a commercialist dream, set fire to the masquerade. It's all fiction. They burn our past, fashion the kerosene, and you say nothing. So, we're kind of lost in like this technologically advanced society, and I'm not anti-technology. I love technology. The idea that I could wake up tomorrow and someone invented a robot that can clean my clothes and do my dishes, like, fuck yeah, that sounds amazing. I don't want to do that shit. Not to say I'm lazy, but like those ideas I freaking love. The idea that I could just like sit on my ass and do nothing, that's awesome. But there's also cons to that. So this idea of like AI especially is one, like this commercialist dream of, oh, AI will do everything. If AI does everything, what's the point of human beings? If they can, like, what is our existence? So this whole dream of like, oh, you gotta have the new PS5, the new, like, these are, what do they do in general for society? What difference do they make in our lives? Really, like, what difference have they made? You look at, like, the invention of the oven, like, core, it's gotten more efficient, but now we have, like, smart ovens. Like, when did we need smart ovens? Why does our phone need, why is there so much noise out there? Why does our phone need to be connected to our TV? Like, when did this need to happen? And also the whole idea of freedom of speech coming back in with that line of, they burn our past, fashion the kerosene. Why don't we acknowledge history? We never seem to want to look at history. Have we, like, forgotten that, like, a year ago that was us? Or, like, 200 years ago that was us? Like, you can't really erase history. It's going to affect us where we're at. You could make an argument about, like, World War II affecting us where we're at. I've heard a lot of arguments for that, of which I agree with a lot of them. But, like, there are so many things about history. I'm kind of sick of the whole, if you don't learn about history, you're failed, or... what's the saying? God, I'm messing it up. If you fail, what is it? I know my version of the saying, but if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it. Something like that. I'm messing up the quote right now. But I'd rather it be, if you don't understand history, you're doomed to repeat it. You can learn about all these things. Like in school, they teach about wars and all that, but they never teach about the reasons this happened. Why did Alexander Hamilton decide to fucking write a whole constitution? Why did he defend it? Like, we know it happened. We all, like, just sat in the room and they were like, yeah, this happened. But, like, we never understand the history and we just erase it, then we are doomed to literally repeat it. We are repeating it now. Like, if we never learn from our mistakes, we never actually move forward. That's not progress. That's just ignorance in disguise. Like, you can't, like, ignore the past and then move forward. Like, that's not possible. Dying faster towards death. Dying faster towards death. So, this line doesn't have too much significance to the song. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend this has some great metaphorical meaning. It was kind of thrown in there to have something to say over that instrumental. But it doesn't really have much meaning to the song. Servants to a fucking self-absorbed emperor, filling their pockets as they steal your home. The era of political opinion is dead. Fuck your freedom of speech if it dares disagree with me. So this one kind of reiterates everything I've said in the beginning of the song, but this whole idea of, like, we're kind of debating about this and that, but we don't realize that we're filling the pockets of the people who are kind of fucking us over. George Carlin put it the best. I'm going to fuck up his skit, but he says something along the lines of, they keep you dumb and stupid, and then fuck you in the ass, and then you don't even realize that you're being fucked in the ass in the first place because you're so dumb and stupid you never realize the actual issue at hand. Like, he does much better justice than I'm doing it now. One of my favorite skits, if I can actually find it later. But we kind of, like, we all argue over these really dumb things. Like, I'm a transgender woman, okay? Like, I'm not afraid to say that, but arguing over whether or not someone should transition, to me, sounds really fucking dumb. Like, there are much more important plates on our issue. Now, is the issue of, we should be allowed to exist, like, that's pretty fucking important. I would agree with that. But the whole idea of, we're going to talk about this instead of the fact that millions are sleeping on the streets. Like, I feel like there's some pretty big other issues before we start tackling the whole moral debate of when should someone be allowed to transition, what medication should, like, even that argument's stupid itself. I could spend a whole video explaining why that argument's stupid in the first place. But, like, kind of lost the plot here. But this whole idea of, like, political opinion, everyone just kind of picks a side. I kind of say it's dead because no one really has an opinion anymore. They just kind of, like, find, like, a bunch of people that they agree with, and then we all just kind of bundle up in a hive, and then it's like, cool, you're a Democrat. Cool, you're a Republican. Cool, you're whatever the hell this group is. Like, no one really has their own political opinions anymore. They just kind of, like, find a group, and they're like, oh, cool, I like your guys' ideas. I'm just going to stick with you guys. One of the many reasons I do not like political parties. You act like you're free, but blood's in your teeth, as you fuel your misery with your own hate speech. So this verse kind of is directly talking about kind of Republicans. One thing I've noticed about them is that they kind of like talk about, oh, we're not free, and then they're talking about how we are free, and then like they act like they're innocent, but the thing is that blood's in your teeth too. Admittedly, blood's in my teeth too. Blood's on all of our hands. I mean, everybody here, everybody in this country right now is guilty, whether they like it or not, for some sort of reason. But the difference is that we can actually acknowledge it and move forward. So we kind of just fuel our own misery, and we just hate on each other. But the thing is that nothing ever changes. We just like hate each other, and then it's like, cool, okay, and then it creates a worse society altogether. Which this next line talks about. A carousel we go around and around, till it stops we'll never be free, and they'll target us one by one and kill you and your family. Fuck the monarchy. So, the fuck the monarchy is kind of a play on the whole no kings and him being seen as a king or wanting to be seen as a king. But even then, this situation we find ourselves in is a situation we have found ourselves in. God, I can't even remember when we haven't found ourselves in that situation. I would say at least from the 1800s, at least from my knowledge of back then, which someone could prove me wrong, and I'll admit I'm wrong, but it's a carousel. We go around and around, but we never actually stop the carousel. We just kind of ride it and go through all these emotions and cycles, but nothing ever actually changes. We never actually do anything. So we're not free. We're just kind of living in this cycle. And then also, they target us one by one. You know, every hate group in America, whether it was Republicans, whether it was Southern Democrats, they pick a group, and then when that group finally retaliates and gets their rights, then they pick another group. It's like they have like a list, and they're like, okay, here's the people we're gonna hate for this century. Like it's I mean, stupid, but that's not really the high class way of saying it. But they'll literally target us one by one. There's a famous saying in Nazi Germany. Not in Nazi Germany, but there was a Jewish poet, I'm probably going to screw this up too, who said that first they came for the trade unionists and I did not speak out. If you know that poem. But, like, they might come for someone that you have no clue what they're about, but if you don't speak up for that, eventually they'll come for you. I mean, you can only go through so many minorities until they eventually get to you. So, it's just, you know. And then the chorus repeats twice. And then this one, this whole breakdown verse isn't really too significant to the song. It's just kind of like my little way of having a heavier part in there to kind of get the crowd moving, I guess. I don't know. But burn it down, we'll never be free if we stand for monarchy. Burn it down, we'll never be free if we stand for monarchy. It's kind of just like a little breakdown area where it's kind of something that people can shout. This is a protest song after all, but this was kind of designed so you could shout it in public if you were playing the song or if you were just memorizing. Like a good example of these is Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe by Kendrick Lamar. Funny enough, that's a completely different genre, but a lot of people started using that. Throughout the years and decades, there's been so many different call-outs from songs, and this was kind of my version of creating one. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically the song. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I explained it and didn't just yap for 18 or so minutes. If you did enjoy it, go check it out. or I guess if you did enjoy it, I don't know. I mean, you're not gonna listen to it right after this. This is being released before it, so go check it out if you like the ideas that I've shared here. Comes out November 5th, and let me know what you think. And yeah, I look forward to making more, and we'll see where this goes. Y'all have a great day. I don't know why I went southern there, but you all have a great day.